All right, thanks for joining. Thanks for joining. All right, thanks for joining. We're just going to wait until we get to 5 people, then we're going to start. All right, I see one person, so hopefully we'll get to 5 people, and 5 people will be, that would be pretty good. All right, I'll give them one more minute, and I'll just talk, and then I'll share the video on Facebook and Instagram and let people watch it at a delayed period. I was hoping that people would join and ask questions, but we'll just have a discussion. Hopefully we'll get up to 5. Let me share it one more time. Hi, good afternoon, Pamela. 2 people have joined now, so we're progressing. All right, let's talk about menopause. What is it? Menopause is the natural progression of most women to the point where they no longer have menses or periods. It usually occurs at the age of 51. The average age that it occurs in the United States is age 51. Some people can experience it earlier, some people can experience it later. But one of the things that defines menopause is the absence of periods for at least 12 months. Leading up to menses or periods Hi, Janet and Anosike. Thanks for joining. Please share. So leading up to menses or perimenopause, people can experience a shift in their periods, meaning it can come for 1 month and then it goes away and then it comes back for a month. And people who are accustomed to seeing their period like clockwork, this will be like strange for them. What this means is that you could be approaching menopause, but you're not menopausal and still can get pregnant. The thing is, you have to bear in mind that menopause is defined as the absence of your period for at least 12 months. At least. So even if you are approaching menopause and you don't want to have children and you notice that your period is coming irregularly, you still should err on the side of caution, use protection, because you don't want to end up pregnant. Okay, Miss Jeffries, that's okay. But you can watch it back later on because it's going to be filmed and then you can watch it later on. So here's the thing. When you notice that you have irregular periods, as I said, make sure that you are using protection because you can still get pregnant. What are some of the symptoms of menopause? You can have hot flashes, you can have chills, you can have dryness down there, you can also have mood swings, loss of energy, weight gain. When you look at your chest in the mirror, you can also notice that they are not as perky because of the withdrawal of the hormone involved in stimulating your periods. And that's just to name a few. Some people report decrease in their sex drive. Some people report vaginal dryness. That's just some of the symptoms that people will report. Hair loss is also another symptom that can occur. Now, one of the things, the hormones responsible for your period, estrogen, it decreases as you get older. And menopause is actually one of the main decreases, which is 50, 51, that's the average age. So when your estrogen decreases, you'll start noticing the symptoms of menopause. But what happens when you're going through menopause is that the estrogen goes up and down. It's still fluctuating, and that fluctuation of the estrogen can result in you having what we call hot flashes. Hot flashes, that's the main complaint I hear from women, that they cannot stand their hot flashes. It's absolutely unbearable. And it frustrates them because apparently it's very hard to deal with. Another issue that can happen when you're menopausal is that you can have weight gain. Weight gain occurs as a result of the estrogen withdrawal because you don't have as much estrogen in your body. But did you also know that the lack of the hormone estrogen can increase your likelihood of getting a heart attack? Estrogen is actually cardioprotective to some degree because worldwide, estrogen heart attack, is one of the leading causes of death in men and women. Women are usually, when they're under 51, are usually less likely to have a heart attack than a man because they have estrogen, a lot of estrogen. But as you go up in age, your risk of a heart attack increases, especially at the point where estrogen is withdrawn from your body. Not completely, but it's just lowered. So what can you do to help reduce the effects of the estrogen that is lost from your body? There are modalities that you can use. There's a watch that's available. I posted it on my channel. It's a watch that helps to deal with hot flashes. In terms of the success, some people say it works, some people say it doesn't. And what the watch does is once you're going through hot flashes, you press the button on the watch and it will release or emit a sense of coolness to help avert your hot flashes. But this is a temporary fix. It does not mean that you are not going through menopause. It's just to help cope with some of the symptoms. Another thing that you can do is hormonal replacement, or HRT. Hormonal replacement will vary based on whether or not you have your uterus inside or whether or not you don't have your uterus inside. So for instance, some people, when they're going through menopause, they would not have their uterus in situ, meaning inside, because they would have undergone a total abdominal hysterectomy, with or without removal of their ovaries, which is called an oophorectomy. Now, an oophorectomy removes your ovaries, and your ovaries are responsible for stimulating your hormones. So if the ovaries are removed, the hormones will decrease. So some people can go through menopause in their 40s if they have their uterus and their ovaries removed at a very early stage in their life. And that can happen, happens to a lot of people who undergo surgery for uterine fibroids. Sometimes their ovaries are removed if they look a bit suspicious. The obstetrician and gynecologist may very well remove them to remove the risk of the ovaries developing into cancer later on in life. So that's just one of the issues that can occur when people have these kinds of surgeries. So there's some women who would have undergone menopause or would have gone through menopause in their 40s, sometimes in their 30s. So right after they had kids, they would have had their ovaries and their uterus removed. I say all that to say this. If you have had your womb removed, when they do hormone replacement therapy, they may offer you estrogen alone. I hope I'm saying this right. Yes, they may offer you estrogen alone as hormone replacement therapy. But if you do have your womb intact, they may offer you progesterone and estrogen replacement. And the reason for this is that your womb, if you offer people estrogen replacement therapy and give them this when they're menopausal to help combat the symptoms of menopause, you actually increase the likelihood of developing something called endometrial carcinoma or endometrial cancer, or what we would call womb cancer. So a lot of the times, you have to err on the side of caution with hormone replacement therapy. Although it will help you feel a lot better, reduce the likelihood of a heart attack, you don't want to take something to reduce the likelihood of getting a heart attack, but increase the likelihood of developing endometrial carcinoma or womb cancer. So it's always best to go and have a full-on discussion with your gynecologist, who will advise you, or gynecologist who specializes in women's health, and they will advise you on which one or which modality is the best for you. Another thing too that you can do, you can use phytoestrogens. Now, phytoestrogens are found in foods that would help you to combat some of the symptoms of menopause. So phytoestrogens would be foods like whey, soy. Those are just some examples of foods that are filled with phytoestrogens. Some other things that you can do if you are going through menopause, you have to maintain your gut health. Your gut health is so important, it's not even funny. Because one of the things that happens with us over time is that because we're eating so much junk, so much food that would have been contaminated with hormones, or just unhealthy foods on a whole, oil-based foods, foods that have unhealthy oils, foods that have unhealthy fat on a whole, processed foods, we have to make sure that we maintain proper gut health, lots of fiber in our diet, to ensure that all of the waste in our colon is being ejected. What that means is, right now, even if you're not menopausal, you should be eating foods high in fiber. Fiber helps with weight loss. As I mentioned before, once you're going through menopause, you're going to find it difficult to lose weight, but it's not impossible. There are people who go through menopause and don't put on a pound. And that's because of their diet and exercise and level of activity. So gut health is important. Probiotics, lots of yogurts, preferably Greek yogurt, fruits, vegetables, fruits such as berries. We're talking blueberries, strawberries. If you're talking local fruits, we're talking pomegranate, soursop. Mangoes are okay. A small piece daily is fine. Pawpaw, pineapple. Locally grown fruits are even better because they have less pesticides. Bananas. When I say locally, I mean right here in the Caribbean, because as you know, abroad, when they're shipping these fruits, they actually have to use sometimes, not all the time, preservatives to be able to preserve the fruits to transport them from point A to point B. So my advice for people who are going through menopause, you have to increase your fruit intake. Probiotics are over the counter. You just can go to any health food store and purchase probiotics. But you can get natural probiotics like lactobacilli and those kinds of things too, also from health food stores. But you can get good gut health and support by yogurt ingestion if you're not lactose intolerant. As you know, a lot of people of African descent are lactose intolerant. So if you're not lactose intolerant, you can get a lot of gut support if you are consuming yogurts. Foods that are high in fiber: oats, barley specifically. And then there's also bulgur, there's granola. Those are some of the ones I can think off the top of my head. Wheat germ is pretty good too. Flaxseed, although flaxseed to me is almost like a purge. From the moment you ingest it, you have to go to the bathroom. To not some people, but it's a really good substitute if you're looking for a way to just keep the colon going, because some women, when they hit menopause too, they have constipation. They would have been good until the hormones kind of withdraw, and then they report that they're constipated as well too. So you need to make sure your gut health is on point. Your estrogen has been withdrawn if you're going through menopause, which means that your risk of a heart attack is increased. So what can you think of right now as somebody who is going through menopause? What can you think of that would improve your heart health? And this is a question to those who are listening. What can you think of that I've been saying over and over and over again that would help you with your gut, not your gut health, with your heart health? Exercise. Exercise. 30 minutes, 5 days for the week. And if you can increase that, even better. Your heart health is all dependent on your cardiac reserve, as well as how blocked your arteries are in terms of the amount of fats that line the arteries, called arteriomas, which are as a result of a buildup of cholesterol in the blood vessels. And these blood vessels these buildups can rupture and go and block blood vessels that supply the heart, resulting in what we call a myocardial infarction. So cutting out unhealthy fats such as margarine, soybean oil, vegetable oil, any of these oils that you see around, extra virgin olive oil is totally fine. But those oils that I just mentioned, not good at all, especially in large amounts. So what that means is foods that you will see that have high amounts of these oils, especially when you're talking about meats, fried chicken, especially from KFC, fried meats, especially from Burger King. We're talking, what's the place, Louisiana fried chicken? Can't remember the company, but there's a company right here in Jamaica that's Louisiana fried chicken. And Popeyes, I think it's Popeyes. Popeyes, full of fried foods. That's just to name a few. Anything with fries that have nitrates in them, lots of fries. Oil is used to prepare these foods. So, cut a lot of these foods out immediately. This will reduce your risk as you get older, or if you're already there at the menopausal state of this will reduce your risk of a heart attack. Exercising, especially running or cycling, because some people can't find it uncomfortable to run based on their joints. You can actually cycle, which will take some of the pressure off of your knee joints, but it would also help to build your quadriceps, build your calves, especially when you adjust the resistance dispense on the bicycle. So that's just another example of how you can combat some of the issues that occur with menopause. Let's talk about sexual dysfunction. Lubricants, that's one thing you can use to help with the vaginal dryness that occurs as a result of menopause. When you focus on yourself, as it were, on your body image, because remember, body image determines how you feel about yourself in that light. Focus on working on improving your physical appearance and improving your mental health as well too, because if you're married, that's a big part of your marriage as well too. So intimacy. So improving your physical appearance, your mental health, and using lubricants is another example of how you can help to combat some of the issues that occur with sexual dysfunction as a result of menopause. Lifting weights. I cannot stress this enough. Women need to understand that they're not going to look masculine when they lift weights. You're not going to look masculine. Believe it or not, you're not. Sorry. Sorry about that. You're not going to look masculine when you lift weights. Believe it or not. It's not going to happen. Lifting weights is a very important part of improving your physique. So what do I mean by that? When you increase your muscle mass, decrease your fat. Someone's trying to call. Sorry about that. When you increase your muscle mass, you increase your fat burning capacity. And when you increase your fat burning capacity, you improve how you look. You improve your ability to lower your blood sugar because your metabolism or your basal metabolic rate goes up. Remember, one of the issues that occurs with menopause is that your metabolism goes down or decreases. So therefore you put on more fat much easier. So increasing your weightlifting also helps with muscle mass. And when you improve your muscle mass, you improve your metabolism. So if you're looking for a way to burn more fat, lifting weights. There are people, if you look for the 70-year-old bodybuilder on social media, she's 70 years old and looks great. And all of that comes from the fact that she still lifts weights. At her age right now, she still lifts weights. Lifting weights is important. You cannot get away from it. You're not going to look masculine. If you look on social media and you see some of the women looking masculine, just remember that they are not as natural as you would think. Some of them use Anavar, they use a lot of hormones, such as testosterone, to help because they're competing in physique or in fitness physique. So don't use that as a gauge as to how you will look lifting weights. Another thing you should do, some people find it works for them during menopause. You can adopt a vegetarian, not vegan, vegetarian lifestyle. You can be pescatarian, and what this does is that you eliminate a lot of the processed carbohydrates, up your vegetable intake, improve your protein quality because fish, as you know, doesn't have a lot of fat in it. It has a lot of omega-3 fatty acids, a lot of minerals. So if you're looking for a protein source that will improve your physique, fish is it. And you have to know which kinds of fish. So salmon, we're talking snapper, swordfish, mahi-mahi or dolphin, just to name a few. Those are examples. If you're from Barbados, flying fish. If you're from Tobago, there's a whole host of fish there. Pot fish, as they would call it. There's fish for days to choose from right here in the Caribbean. And you don't always have to use farm-raised stuff. You don't have to get tilapia and those other things because, quite frankly, we're surrounded by water and there's a lot of fish. So that's just an example of some of the meats that you can substitute. Don't get me wrong, there are some people who eat beef and chicken and they're totally fine. But if you're finding that you're having a difficult time during menopause as a result of the foods you eat, you can make a shift and see if your physique changes. So we've tackled gut health, we've tackled exercise, we've tackled heart health, we've tackled diet in terms of veganism or vegetarianism and pescatarianism. But let's delve further into hormone replacement therapy. In the Caribbean, it's done. As I've mentioned before, if you have a womb, they may offer you progesterone and estrogen, and if you don't have a womb, they may offer you just estrogen. There's a risk of endometrial carcinoma, but you can combat a lot of the symptoms of menopause and the lack of estrogen. And actually, hormone replacement therapy, as I mentioned before, helps to reduce your risk of heart attack because estrogen by itself is actually cardioprotective. So by taking hormone replacement therapy in the form of estrogen, you can reduce your risk of getting a heart attack. Now I'm going to open the floor and let everyone ask some questions, and we're going to just have a back and forth and figure out where people are in terms of, what they're going through when they're experiencing menopause, while they're experiencing menopause, if they are experiencing menopausal symptoms right now, and what can be done. So if you have any questions, you can go ahead and ask. Let's see if there are any questions. Let me open the question chat. Any questions? Exercises that I would think that you should do. Bringing down your tummy, you're gonna have to do planking, abdominal work such as crunches. However, crunching can hurt your back, so planking is your best bet. So you can do front planks, side planks, reverse planks. Quadricep work, we're looking at hip thrusts, squats, if you can do them, lunges. If you can't do squats and lunges and you're going to the gym, you can do leg press. You can also work a quadricep by using the cycle machine, as I mentioned, adjusting the resistance, which would give your body more resistance and therefore help to build more of your quadriceps muscles, because you're pushing your quadriceps to pedal through the resistance. Other exercises that you should do not neglect your upper body. So we're talking bench press with dumbbells. You can do flies as well, shrugs, side laterals, which is up and down. If your rotator cuffs are intact, try to not go above the 90-degree angle. You're going to try to go from 0 to about 45, which is a slightly away from your body. That way you don't overdo the injuries or cause any injuries to your rotator cuff, which is a very common injury. We're talking a lot of lat pull downs. If you're at home, you can actually use your book bags, suitcases, anything like that there to help you generate resistance when you're doing these exercises. Book bags or suitcases can be used when you're doing bent over rows, one-arm dumbbell rows. These are just examples of things that you can do to help improve your physique, especially if you're going through menopause. You have to lift weights. There's nothing you can do to escape this. In terms of how many reps or repetitions you should do when you're doing these exercises, I would suggest 3 sets of 10 to 12. So three separate sets of 10 to 12 repetitions for each exercise. How many days per week should you do resistance training? It's all up to your body. Me personally, I would advise you to split everything up so you can do resistance training 5 days for the week. And then you combine this with cardio. So you can use the cardio to warm up, and mind you should stretch, and then you should use the resistance training at the end of it, after you've recovered from the cardio, to close off the workout, and then stretch to close down. Most of us don't really stretch at the end of the workout. I myself am guilty of not stretching at the end of the workout, because most times once I finish the workout, I'm so exhausted I just want to go and bathe and eat. I'm hungry. Foods you should eat and when you should eat them, especially if you're going through menopause. When you wake up in the morning, a protein source. Stop focusing on carbohydrates. A protein source is your friend, especially if you're a person who's working out. A protein source, a vegetable, or a fruit, other than mango. Because, yes, it can. Hi, Marie Charles. It can cause dizziness. Some of the symptoms of menopause: vaginal dryness, dizziness, lightheadedness, hot flashes, chills, weakness, headache. The flushing is one of the main ones that people report. Yes, you can have all of those symptoms if you have menopause. Mangoes have a lot of sugar. Lots of sugar. And in the Caribbean, very few people I know eat one mango at a time. All my kids, they eat 3, 4, 5 mangoes at one time. So mangoes are responsible for shooting people's sugar up, because people think that once it's a fruit, they can eat a lot of it, and that's the issue. Janet, You need to lose weight around the tummy because that's the dangerous part. If your waist as a woman is above 35 inches, you are at increased risk. I've said this so many times, of heart attack, sudden death, and also developing diabetes and hypertension. So you don't want to have a waist above 35. So you need to lose weight around your tummy. If you can start today, start today. Because as I just told you, once the estrogen goes, your heart is at increased risk of, having issues. You're at increased risk of a heart attack. You're at increased risk of what we call, that's the equivalent to what we call a myocardial infarction. And when that happens, a piece of your heart can be seriously damaged. So you may need to go to the hospital. You may need to have stents placed. When you have stents placed, it's expensive. And energy-wise, herbs you can try: evening primrose, ginseng, zinc, magnesium, vitamin B6, just to name a few. And your diet has to be adjusted. These are things that you have to do to ensure that you get to the gym, or if you can't make it to the gym, work out at home, but you have to do something. The last thing you want to do is get older with a bigger waist. Keeping your waist intact it should be number one on your priority list. It's going to enhance your longevity, improve your likelihood of living later, because once you increase your muscle mass is a direct correlation with, in terms of your overall health and longevity and comfort as you get older. Muscle mass is a good indicator of this. So increasing your muscle mass is very important. So here's another thing too. People message me all the time, what can I do about hot flashes? As I mentioned, if you're a person who does not want to use hormone replacement therapy, try the phytoestrogens. You can actually purchase some of the fruits in your supermarket. Estrogen is found in soy. Soy has phytoestrogens which can potentially help you. I'm not 100%, there's not a situation where it's going to be 100% effective, but in some people, they do report that you can have some benefits from using phytoestrogens. As a man, we actually use testosterone. So we use things like Tongkat Ali, we use ashwagandha, and they are calling those hormones, or hormones coming from plants. Now, the jury is mixed in terms of whether they work, whether they don't. Some people report that they do, some people report that they don't. So if you're a person that wants to try them, they seem pretty safe. You can try phytoestrogens, which are found in soy, and there are a whole other set of plants and herbs that you can use phytoestrogens, and it can help you. Any other questions? Let me think of some commonly asked questions that people report in my live, in my comments. One of the things that people seem to always be trying to figure out is ways to remove hot flashes. As I mentioned, hot flashes are caused as a result of the fluctuations in estrogen, and they can be very, very debilitating. In fact, just sitting down there and you get in a hot flash and you start sweating profusely. But did you know you can get flushing with other conditions as well? So for instance, if your thyroid is not functioning correctly, if you're hyperthyroid, if your thyroid gland, which is located right here underneath your neck, if it's not functioning properly, you can get flushing like that, because when the thyroid hormone goes very high, you can have issues with your hair starts to fall out. Your neck can be swollen. You can end up with issues such as weight loss, jitteriness. You can be agitated all the time. And it can cause your heart to race. So this is very important, because you might not actually be going through menopause if you're 40. So if you're 40 and experiencing these symptoms, you need to get your thyroid checked, which is something that happens to a lot of people. You can have flushing with hyperthyroidism. Okay? Other medications that can cause flushing, vitamin B, I can't remember, I think it's vitamin B6 can cause flushing if you're taking too much of it. That's just another example of medications that can mimic these symptoms. So remember what I said. Menopause is really the absence of your period for at least 12 months. 12. So if you missed your period last month and you get back your period, you might be pre or perimenopausal, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you are menopausal at that point in time. So this brings me back to what I'm saying. You have to have a discussion with your medical doctor. Can it affect your diabetes and hypertension? Of course. If you're putting on weight, it's going to affect your blood sugar. That's another question that people ask all the time. How does menopause affect your blood sugar? Now, your estrogen is responsible for your fat deposition. So if your estrogen goes down and you're putting on weight, your blood sugar is going to have an issue. So there are some people who do report when they're going through menopause, their blood sugar goes up, their blood pressure goes up. Has the camera stuck? Oh, the camera stuck just now. Sorry about that. When you go to the gym, Janet, make sure, as I've been saying in this video, make sure you lift within your limit. Do not go following people who would tell you to lift this heavy amount of weight. Lift what you can lift. Have a weightlifting belt. Have comfortable shoes. And ensure that you lift within your range. I would advise you, since you're probably a beginner, use machines. Machines, and use them properly. And if you can afford it, get a trainer. A proper trainer, seasoned trainer. Not a young person, not necessarily, not all young trainers are bad, but you don't want someone coming to tell you, do this and try this because they want to accelerate your fat loss so much that you can actually make you sick. There's a condition called rhabdomyolysis that occurs in people who jump right into weightlifting and exercise too heavily. It's supposed to be a gradual transition into exercise. Don't dive into it. So don't get up one day and say, I'm going to run 2 miles. You could actually end up in problems. Rhabdomyolysis is actually lethal if not treated. And there really isn't much of a treatment. You just hydrate and monitor kidney function. So, and what this rhabdomyolysis how it occurs is as a result of the breakdown of the muscle tissues. Because you've not used them for a long period of time. You go now and you do this exercise just like that. No warm up, no nothing, and the muscles release a hormone which can then cause issues in the kidneys. Janet, as I would always say, I have meal and workout plans. My meal plans are $30 US. My meal and workout plans are my meal plans are $35. My meal and workout plans are $60. So if you need help, you can reach out to me. In terms of the tummy, yes, work on it. I don't want to worry you, but I want you to understand that this is everything I said about the tummy is research-based. Large tummies, increased risk. Smaller tummies doesn't make you immune to disease, but you have a less likely chance of developing some of the complications associated with being overweight. Like right now, I do my best to make sure my tummy is small. And I can tell you, there are people who are my age who are struggling with their tummies. And I saw this on the beach. There are people that are actually my age, and I was looking around like, wow. And some of the issues that can occur, as I mentioned before, some of these people have large tummies as a result of drinking, not watching what they eat, hormonal issues, might just be lack of care of self, like they're not caring themselves. These are all issues that can occur as a result of just not taking care of yourself. You have to take care of yourself. Self-care is the best way for you to be able to take care of those around you. And that's one of the, if there's anything you take from this interaction that you're having right now, or this video right now, I want you to understand that you have to take care of yourself. You're at Sam Club shopping. Okay. I don't understand that statement. So, if you know someone who's going through menopause, I want you to share this video. If you know someone who is about to go through menopause, if you have all of your female friends, try to share this video, have a discussion with them. Make sure that they know that they have to keep their waist down. Make sure that they understand the symptoms of menopause, symptoms and signs of menopause. Good thing to take for menopause, outside of the hormone replacement therapy, main things, soy. Soy is one of the main ones I can think off the top of my head that has estrogen in it. But probiotics, as I mentioned before, high vegetable intake, flaxseed, vitamin B, zinc, magnesium, vitamin C, collagen. Also, I mentioned flaxseed. If you're a person who's having issues with depression during menopause, you can try St. John's wort. Other things that can be used during menopause to help with hot flashes, you can use antidepressants. They're not as successful, so we're talking antidepressants or even medications such as pregabalin or Lyrica. There are a whole bunch of, you can actually talk to your doctor right now about using Lyrica. I saw that on the website, not Medscape. Medscape, they actually said that can be used to help to combat some of the symptoms of hot flashes or the symptom of hot flashes. So those are just some examples of things you can use. So as I said, probiotics, flaxseed, vegetables, any green leafy vegetable you can get your hand on, consume that. Fruits, except mango, err on the side of caution with mango and soursop, which is very high in sucrose and fructose. We're talking St. John's wort if you're experiencing lack of energy. Ginseng, Panax ginseng, if you don't have hypertension and you report that you have issues with your sex drive, you can use Panax ginseng. Also, you can use, err on the side of caution with caffeine intake. If you're going to drink one cup a day. Exercise, we're talking 30 minutes, 5 days for the week. Just to name a few. If you're interested in a meal and workout plan, WhatsApp message me at 876-339-3487. I want to thank you for joining my live. I'm really happy to see 3 people. That's just incredible. And I want to thank you and continue to follow me and share this video. Share it with everybody you can share it with. Thanks for following. And subscribe also. Any questions? Any more questions? Let me answer any more questions before you leave. Any more questions? Okay. Thanks for joining.